Hey everyone, how you doing? Hey everyone, it is April 13th, 2026, and we are looking at the markets here as we are about to go into the opening bell. And basically, all the major stock indices are down on the day so far as we head into the opening bell. We have the NASDAQ off by about 82 handles to the downside. We have the S&P down. S&P is down about 25 handles to the downside. And we take a look at the Russell and the Dow. The Russell is down 11, almost 12 handles to the downside. And the Dow, which I personally think is a useless index now, but I'll mention it anyway, is down 319 handles to the downside. So we go back to the main indices, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. And the first thing that we notice is that the S&P and NASDAQ opened up much lower last night. The S&P was off by about 40 to 45 handles at the beginning of last night's trading session, and the NASDAQ was off by over 300 handles to the downside last night. And all that occurred on news of Iran not accepting the ceasefire and saying that they want to continue to keep their nuclear program. So Trump came back and talked about how he's going to have a blockade overnight of the Strait of Hormuz. So there's constant development of news on the war front, and that is keeping markets very volatile. And we go back to the key market that is driving stocks right now, and that is crude oil as it reacts to all the war news. And as stocks gapped down last night, crude oil gapped up, and it closed the trading session on Friday below that key psychological level of $100 a barrel. It actually got down below $96 a barrel, and gapped up last night, close to $102 a barrel, and it kept running up to over $105 a barrel. We've backed off of that since, and as a result, stocks have bounced off of their lows. So crude oil has backed off of the highs of the overnight trade session, and stocks have rallied off of their lows. So the latest news is that at about 10 o'clock, at 10 a.m. Eastern time, what is expected is that the United States is going to start a blockade, basically. And we're going to allow ships to cross through the Strait of Hormuz with a blockade, a military naval blockade. So we will see how this plays out. I think you have to be, what I was thinking about when I was watching the tape this morning is that it's very difficult to have any feel for this market out past one day. Like, I can look at this tape action and I have a feel of what's going on right now, what happened last night, what's happening now, what could happen today. But like going forward out past, say, a day or 2 or 3 days, I could be I could sound like a schizophrenic going back and forth between being bullish and bearish, looking at all the technicals. I mean, we just a couple of days ago, we looked at technicals, and it looked like the stock market was making new lows. It was going to break down lower. Then we have a big reversal higher, and then we didn't get follow through, and then we got follow through on news of the war, and now everything looks bullish. And we get this bearish news of for stocks last night, and very bullish for crude oil. And this is a very schizophrenic market because it's dependent on whether or not good news comes out of from Washington and Iran. So as we go into the opening bell, and we were less than a couple seconds away from the opening bell, the VIX is up by over 7%, and interest rates are trading higher this morning. So as we start the opening bell, let me take a look at the main stock that everybody loves to watch in today's world of the mid-20s of the 21st century, NVIDIA. So we'll start out with NVIDIA. We'll take a look at NVIDIA. Let's see what else is going on. One stock that had been acting horribly but is now trading higher today is Palantir. So we saw Palantir acting absolutely horribly, trading down below $124 a share. Now it rallied towards the end of the day on Friday and is trading higher today by so it is acting nicely right now, trading higher today, but it's a little off the highs from the just a couple seconds ago. Let's see what else is going on. We go back and take a look at the S&P indices, the index, and you see how it continues to trade higher as the indices rally back from the lows of the day. That rally continues past the opening bell. And we have the NASDAQ is also trading higher since the opening bell. I'm going to now take a look at my positions on the day. I am down on the day. My account is down by close to a normal amount for me, about one standard deviation for me. So it's an average down day, a little less than an average down day. What's helping me is Palantir, actually. It was beating me, taking me down on Friday, and today it's actually helping me. So this is why I like to have lots of positions. Let's see here. So I do still have Bloom Energy calls, and now those calls, they were up nicely by about 5 to 10%. And then they went up to be about up over 60% last week. I closed those calls and rolled them up, and now those calls are giving back some gains. I'm down about 40% on the open, so I am going to have to close these calls. So these are calls that I rolled up, so I already took profits, and now I'm giving back profits off the open. So I'm going to close these calls. And these are the 167.50 calls that expire April 17th. So I'm selling these calls for about a 40% loss. And as we look at the NASDAQ here, it is kind of pausing going higher. It's not continuing to go higher after the opening bell. One stock that sticks out to me at the opening bell that looks really nice right now is Vertiv. I've talked about the stock before. It has been breaking out to the upside, as we can see. We could take a look at a bigger picture chart here, a daily chart and a weekly chart. You can see Vertiv has been breaking out to the upside, and we go look at a shorter term time frame on the intraday chart for Vertiv. That up move continues to the upside. So I have a lot of shares in Vertiv. I think the stock is extended, so I don't know if I want to buy some calls in this, but I just wanted to mention that it is trading very well. And another stock that's interesting that sticks out to me is Tesla. Is now acting pretty good. It's trading up on the day. So something to look at. Something to look at there. Not much action else out there today. CoreWeave continues to act well. So I had calls in CoreWeave and it's trading up higher today. I like this. I'm going to get back in CoreWeave. I'm going to buy some calls in CoreWeave. So CoreWeave is trading nicely today, and it's about to trade above the previous high from last week. So I'm going to buy some calls in CoreWeave. And I'll show you. I'm buying the 104 calls of the regular Aprils, and I'm paying $6.30 for them. But so I bought. And the calls that I bought are getting bid up as I discussed them, and I got filled. So I bought the April 17 call, 104 calls. So these are the calls that I bought, and I paid about let me see what I paid here. Let me go look at my orders. I paid $6.75. So I paid $6.75 for these calls, and now you can buy them for $7. They're trading a little higher at $7. So these are the calls that I bought right here. 104 April 17 calls. 104 April 17. And when I say April 17, I mean they expire on April 17th. I bought these calls, and I paid $6.75 for them. So that is my trade. So let's see here. Anything else? I think Palantir could be worth a trade, but I think it has to be a day trade because you really don't know what's going to happen with the war or anything like that. So let's take a look at the option statistics for CoreWeave. 28,000 calls are traded versus 7,000 puts. And we say 35,000, almost 36,000 calls total. The put call ratio is 0.26, so that's pretty good. Most of the trades are traded between the bid and the ask, so it's very difficult to get a read on what CoreWeave is doing based on the options. So it's hard to tell, but the chart is acting well. So, and the stock is continuing to shoot higher, and Palantir is now trading above $2 here, so it's acting well. It's holding its low of the day. So that's nice. Let's see here. So I'm actually surprised to a certain extent how well the market is acting. Yes, we're down. Yes, crude oil is up by a ton of money, but tech is holding up pretty well, even though there's bad news on the war, and Nvidia's down, and crude oil's up by 1 billion points to the upside. So there's Bitcoin is down. There's lots of bearish factors on the screen, but the fact that the Nasdaq's only down by 86 handles, and the S&P's only down by 22 handles, that's kind of bullish for me. Let's take a look at the SMH, the semiconductors. This is a very telling thing to see. It's not there. The semiconductors are only down by 70 cents. 66 cents, 70 cents to the downside. It's not really getting pulled down. So there's lots of bullish action on the screen. Now, The XLE, the energy stocks, are acting well today on the heels of crude oil going higher. So if you like to trade energy stocks, today you can do it. Let's take a look at. I like to trade tech stocks because they're the stocks that have the most momentum historically. But with this market, you can look at an XOM. Let's take a look at ExxonMobil. It's acting pretty well today. Gapped higher, but it's giving back a little bit of its gains. You can take a look at ExxonMobil. Since the war started, this stock has just been ripping higher to the upside. It traded in basically a sideways range right around $110 a share for easily 3 years. Basically, it traded around $110 a share for 3 years. And I sold the stock. And then the stock has, since when I sold it right around $115 a share. Actually sold it a little less than that, or closer to $110 a share. And from that point when I sold the stock, it is now ripped higher and traded above $170 a share to $176. It has recently given back some of those gains. But if you want to trade energy and want to be long bullish energy, now I think is a good time to be long energy, and you can do it very easily by buying the ExxonMobil stock. And the stock had a huge run to the upside, had a buy climax. It's pulled back to the lower Bollinger Band and bounced off of that level. I think right here is a good point to buy the stock and hold on to the stock. So if you want exposure to an ongoing war and be bullish on energy stocks, ExxonMobil right here, right around $154 a share is a good point to buy. You're going to need more upside in the stock to get the VWAP guys wanting to buy and the momentum guys wanting to buy. I have a chart layout here that has the VWAP on it. Take a look at the VWAP chart on ExxonMobil. Ooh. And so it is below the VWAP right now, so it needs to get above that point of around $153 a share. Or it needs to get, it's actually right above the VWAP, sorry. It's right above the VWAP, so if it keeps going a little bit higher, as the VWAP is right at around $153 a share. If it keeps going a little bit more higher, you're going to get those VWAP guys coming in and buying it, and they can push the stock up to the 20-day, and you can get more momentum guys come in around 165. So if I think what above the technical analysis right here of ExxonMobil, I think what crude oil does will determine what ExxonMobil does for the most part. So keep in mind that ExxonMobil is a good chart here, gives you exposure to oil, but it also is a bet on what oil does. So it seems like a interesting trade to me right now. So let's see if anything else sticks out to me. Looking at, we'll go back and take a look at the S&P 500. As it is staying bid right here. We take a look at the NASDAQ, it's staying bid here. We were down by about 86 handles before I started looking at ExxonMobil, and now we're down by 75 handles, 76 handles. And the S&P was down by about 30 handles before I looked at ExxonMobil, and it's now down 24 handles. So this market is it's looking stronger than I would think it would. Let's take a look at the ETFs. You can see A lot of people, they don't look at the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ indices. They actually just look at the SPY and the Qs. So we can take a look. They're the exact same thing in my mind. But you can see here the SPY here at 6677. And we zoom in here. So you can see how lots of red bars, solid red bars in the SPY. So this is not very bullish. So no real buy signals for the SPY here. Looking at my custom bars that I use. And I need to come up with a good name for these bars because they're not red or green depending on just what price does. They go red or green based on price as well as other factors. And those factors that I use are volume and momentum. You need momentum increase, volume increase, and price increase, and you get greener colored bars. You need price decrease, volume increase to the downside, and momentum increase to the downside to get redder, darker bars. So right now, those are custom bars that I use and custom candlesticks that I use. And right now, you're not getting any buy signal right here in the S&P. Looking at an intraday chart here of SPY. Let's take a look at the Qs. It's probably the same story. We zoom in here and take a look at the Qs. Very dark red bars as we have this increase in. So we have an increase in momentum to the downside and a price decrease in the price is falling, but also we're getting momentum increase to the downside in the Qs. So not looking too good there. Now so not very bullish at all. Now let's take a look at, go back to the S&P futures. They're turning down, they're red as well. So it's not just the Qs and the SPY, it's the indices as well. And let's take a look at the NASDAQ, same thing. And all the while I'm showing you various tickers, I'm looking around at my other screens. I have like 5 billion screens that I look at. I'm just joking, I have 7. And I don't really see anything of interest. I look at my screens and I look at the various tickers, and I don't really see anything that sticks out to me other than CoreWeave. And I did buy those calls. Let's take a look and see how I'm doing with those. And that stock is continuing up. As you see these strong green bars, this price is going up, but also it's getting momentum and volume increase to the upside. We took a look at the option statistics, and it couldn't really read into what the options action was going on with CoreWeave because all the trades are traded between the bid and the ask, so you can't really tell what's going on there. Those calls that I bought in CoreWeave are up by about 1.4%. So the stock is kind of just stalling here, not really doing much. And I'm just going to hold on to these calls and see where they go. I do not like that the indices have paused and are not going up anymore, as well as other big stocks. Micron is down, Nvidia is down. So the bigger major tech stocks are also down. You see Micron is down. We look at Nvidia is down by a small amount, $2. Micron's down about $9. That's not too bad. It's just reversed as I looked at it. Maybe I gave it some good luck. So we're getting a little bit of a reversal here. We can see it in individual stocks. We can go back to the indices. We see the buyers coming in right here on the NASDAQ. Same is going on with the S&P. So got a reversal on the S&P as you see here. I'll go back and take a look at the NASDAQ. And Nvidia is reversing nicely. I've just mentioned about a minute ago NVIDIA was down by over $2. Now it's down by less than $2, and it's trading higher, but it still has red bars, so we don't have the green bars. We don't have confirmation to the upside. Same thing with Micron. Still red bars, even though the price is going higher. And Broadcom is now in the green. That sticks out to me. And this move is probably news related. So, this type of move. Look at Broadcom has got green bars and the stock is green. So that's beautiful, just beautiful. Palantir is moving up. That just warms my heart because I was getting beaten to the pulp with Palantir over the past week, and the fact that the market's moving up and Palantir is moving up just makes me feel like a schoolboy all over again. I love it. So happy. I can deal with NVIDIA being down on a day, but I needed the way Palantir was just beating me to the pulp, taking me to the woodshed, and causing me pain and hardship and anguish. To see it green today like it is and acting the way it is just makes me feel all good again. I don't have to go see my therapist because Palantir is going back. Got some big news here. Look at now NASDAQ is green. Whew, that takes the pressure off. Whew, takes the pressure off. Can you believe it? We were gonna this last night the NASDAQ was down over 300 handles, and now we're actually a little bit green. We traded green. That's what I mean by there's no feel for this market. There's no like inner feel. Like you may have a feel for what's going to happen for the rest of the day and into tomorrow, but other than that, you really don't know what's going to happen. We look at the bigger picture technicals. We got this reversal to the upside. We got follow through to the upside. We have an extended run to the upside. All that from a technical point of view, the odds are still in our favor that we can continue higher. Momentum's going to the upside. Everything is good for the bulls since the latest tape action over the past couple days. All that being said, you could make a very bearish argument that we're still not out of the woods, and these moves can be short-lived, and you can get some bearish news that comes out from Iran that completely throws all the technicals off the table. And this is a perfect example how you can look at the technicals, and the technicals can help you, but it won't tell you, it won't telegraph to you what is going to happen next. It just tells you where we are and where we've been, and then you can take that information and help you determine what the risk reward is to the upside and if the odds are in your favor. But you can't tell what's going to happen. We get some bad news or something that we can't think of, it boom, the NASDAQ can be down 500 handles in a New York minute. Boom. It can also be up 150 handles in a minute if we get some more good news. And then the technicals worked and everything's fine and dandy. So you have to put everything in the context that we are in this fog of war environment, and you get these tape bombs, that's the term, these tape bombs that really control what's going to happen with the market. Now, one interesting thing to think about is that when you see everything moving, you have to think to yourself, what would Trump do? It's like WWTD. What would Trump do? Take a look at CoreWeave here. Let's take a look at it as it is moving higher. It's now above 109 a share, working out very well. Looking at these calls here, these calls are now up 19%, almost 20%. So stock keeps moving higher. But you have to, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't think about. They just assume, Trump's crazy, he's psychotic, we don't know what's going to happen, we have this volatile market. But what if you take it a step further? What if you take it a step further, regardless of your politics, and ask yourself, what would Trump do? People say he's so unpredictable, but I don't know about that. You know, he has a certain way about him. He negotiates. He says he wants this, but he settles for this. You know, he has a certain way of the way he sees things and the way he thinks about the world and what he wants. I think to a certain extent you can kind of predict what he's going to do and apply that to the market. I think a perfect example was last week. Okay, he was saying he was posting on Truth Social that he was gonna annihilate civilization. He's gonna basically blow up Iran unless they cut a deal, you know, come to the table, do a ceasefire, do something. And I'm thinking to myself, if he was really gonna blow up the world, you know, the Dow would be down like 3,000 points. NASDAQ would be down 500 points. The S&P may be down 200 or 300 points. Who knows? And I'm thinking, it's not. And that's not Trump's MO. He's a negotiator. He's scaring them so they come to the table. Just like he used to do in New York. It's like, if you're not gonna, you know, cut a deal with me, I'm gonna sue you for everything you have. It's the same principles. And I'm thinking, is he really gonna blow up the world? Is he really that crazy? I don't think so. And what I did was, I bought some QQQ calls, because the thesis was not on technicals or fundamentals or anything. The thesis was, I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think Trump is going to blow up the world. So I bought some calls in the Qs. They paid off, and they made about 150%. I wish they made more, but because volatility was so high, those calls did not make as much as I wanted them to. We're taking a look at CoreWeave now. Continues to rip up to the upside. We have the NASDAQ and the S&P close to unchanged on the day. And the Dow is off by 280 handles lower, but is turning back. So this market is acting strong. You know, basically the technicals that we've laid out over the past couple trading sessions of an extended run to the upside, and momentum turning to the upside, and a big reversal, and a follow through days to the upside. It is continuing to stay intact, even with a lot of news hitting the tape, a lot of tape bombs coming through. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. This sticks out to me. This chart sticks out to me because it is now going green. I'm getting some green bars intraday. We got some green bars on NVIDIA intraday. So it is moving to the upside. That means we're getting price movement higher, and now the volume, the momentum is coming into the upside. So I get very confused by looking at the oscillators and stuff intraday. So I created these custom bars that basically go red and green, different shades of red and green to show momentum. So, you know, that's what I like. And Micron, it's higher, and these bars were actually they're actually available on Thinkorswim, and they were actually coded by Linda Raschke, and they're in Thinkorswim, and they're also in other trading platforms like TradeStation and so forth. But I have I further customize them, so I don't know. It's been so many years. I don't know the intricate details of how they are the way they are, but they're basically like certain colors and certain price movements and volume movements, deviations turn the bars red or green. But they are in Thinkorswim, and they're available for everyone. So they're called paint bars. Paint bars. You can look in the studies and you can add studies and go down to LBR studies, and you see LBR paint bars. That's what they are. These are the bars, and then I customized this study on my own. So, but those are the bars that I use. Linda Raschke, I think, is one of the greatest traders of all time. She's one of my favorites. She was in Market Wizards. And what we love about Linda is that she is very public about the way she trades. She's not, she's done various webinars, services, coaching sessions, tons of stuff of hers is online. It's all free. She's written books. She's very public, but also private. She gets on web podcasts, and she shows her stuff that she does. Her husband and her assistant have a service that they have. And sometimes she comes on and does like special presentations and trades and stuff. But she also does her own trading on her own. Because the markets are her first love, I think, in my opinion. And this is what I also wanted to show you guys. There is this market is turning around to the upside. We got now the NASDAQ and the S&Ps are green. And we're getting close to this yellow bar where we started the week. Where we ended last week, where we started this week. So we started this week with a gap down lower, but we ended last week where the yellow bar is. So we are green. Okie dokie. I want to show you guys something. Let me just get this for you. There is a video that was released on YouTube recently of another one of my absolute favorite traders in the world, Stanley Druckenmiller. And he talks a lot about stuff that just is, I think, essential for making money in the markets that nobody talks about. Risk reward, and also sizing your position and stuff like that. And it was an interview done by Morgan Stanley, and it is an interview done by Morgan Stanley, and it is on YouTube, and it is about 28 minutes long, and it is pure gold. So I just want to show this is the video right here. Hard lesson, Stanley Druckenmiller, invest then investigate. And that is a good video to check out with Stanley Druckenmiller. So I am going to take this video and post it in my Discord right now. But I wanted to show it also. If you don't follow me, if you're not on my Discord, you can see the name of the video I showed you on the live feed. So we got Apple. This is interesting here. We have Apple falling, and Nvidia is rallying. So it's still it's a very interesting market. And you still have big major stocks like Micron is lower, and other stocks like Broadcom are higher. So So there's not a lot of videos on YouTube that I actually like to share, but that one with Stanley Druckenmiller I wanted to share. I think it really can really help you become a better investor listening to it. Um, so let's see what else is going on. Yeah, and NVIDIA continues to go higher. We take a look at NVIDIA. It is now, it is still down on the day, but it is climbing and rallying higher. And Broadcom is higher, CoreWeave is higher today. But Apple is down. And so is Amazon. Amazon has had a nice run to the upside, and it is down in the day, but it is reversing, and we have green bars here on Amazon. So that takes the pressure off. And Palantir, it continues to run higher, which is very bullish. We like that. So that is good to see. But I do not like stocks like Micron, Western Digital, and Corning down on the day. Corning has had a nice run to the upside and is due for a pause, but it is down on the day, and I do not like that. So, and Rocket Labs is acting nicely. As you take a look at Rocket Labs, it is nice. It is powering, reversing to the upside, and we take a look at a bigger, longer time frames of Rocket Labs. And we see how, I like how Rocket Labs has bounced off of this lower Bollinger Band. You get a reversal in momentum, and it's right above the 20-day. That's good. Let's take a look at the Rocket Labs chart that has the VWAP and is just above the VWAP now. So when you get this move above the 20-day, above the VWAP, you start to get buyers, and I think that's what's going on with Rocket Labs right now. So that's good. So it's above the 20-day, and now it's above the VWAP here. As we zoom in, you can see the VWAP right there. Now it's above that. So that's something that encourages buyers to come into the marketplace. So that's good to see. I think if you want to buy some Rocket Labs, I'm not going to do this. I don't have a good answer for you why. But my account is now positive on the day. You can take a look at what options would you do with Rocket Labs. Let's take a look at the trade tab for Rocket Labs. We've got put call ratio of 0.36. That's bullish. And we've got about 20,000 contracts traded on the day. That's not that much. And a majority of these options are traded between the markets, so you can't get a good read on these options either. But the charts look good. You can buy the 69 calls or the 70 calls. These calls are trading for about $1.70 per or $2.72 per contract. So something to take a look at. If you want to do that trade, I think that trade works. So let's go back to the charts with Rocket Labs. I'm not going to do that trade, but that trade I think is a good trade. You can do that. And Apple is starting to reverse to the upside a little bit here. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. We're able. And I'm slightly positive on the day in my account. So. Another stock I love right now is Caterpillar. Caterpillar breaking out to the upside. It's up on the day, but pulled back a little bit. But if you look at the other bigger picture charts for Caterpillar, you can see how it's trading right near its high from mid-February. And it's had a nice pullback back and forth right around the lower Bollinger Band, and has bounced back, has a gap up higher, and is trading right at that previous high, looking to break out to the upside. So I do like Caterpillar for a trade, and if you want to buy the calls in Caterpillar, let's take a look at the trade tab for Caterpillar. As you see here, this is the intraday chart for Caterpillar. And we look at the trade tab for Caterpillar. I would go out further in time for Caterpillar, because this would be a trade that I would want to hold on to for a while. So I would look to go out like further out in time. You see, there's not much. We look at the option statistics. We see barely no options are traded. Like there's only 3,800 options that are traded. So that tells you should just go and buy the stock, or if you can't afford the stock, buy fractional shares of the stock. And we take a look at the options here. We go out, 32 days out. Look at that. That's a $2 spread between the bid and the ask. That's almost $2. That's a huge spread. There's not a lot of liquidity there for Caterpillar. So I would, that's tricky. I would just, if you don't have a lot of money, you're going to definitely lose money on that trade. So I like the chart, I like the fundamentals, and I like the thesis on Caterpillar. They're building all their tractors and stuff are being used to build data centers, and then they're building turbines that are being sold to data centers. So I'm very bullish on Caterpillar. But the options market, there's no liquidity. I mean, there's only 4,000 contracts traded so far. The put to call ratio is 1.73, which is not good. That's not bullish. And the stock, $792. I would just go out and buy the stock in Caterpillar. And like I showed you just a minute ago, I mean that's like about $2 spread between the bid and the ask. That's huge. I think that it would be better just to buy the stock in Caterpillar. So even on the options that expire in the next week, there's a $2 spread for the at-the-money calls. Almost a $2 per spread. Actually, more than a $2 spread now. It's huge. That's a lot. I would just buy the stock. So let's see here. Another stock I wanted to take a look at has earnings, or has had earnings today. It had earnings. We are now in earnings season, everyone. And Goldman Sachs is starting out earnings season. It is down by $37 today. I have this stock on my to listen list. I will listen to this. I'm really curious to listen to the Goldman Sachs conference call, because I want to learn more about what's going on with the private equity markets. There's lots of scuttlebutt about issues with these private equity markets. And one thing is that a lot of these private equity firms have been losing money, and people want to get out, and they haven't been able to get out. And another interesting thing about these private equity markets is that all their assets that they have are basically made up to a certain extent. They're marked to market, so whatever marks they want to put on them are what they are. Nobody has a true value of the underlying private assets that they own. So the argument for many individuals out there is that, like, what is really going on, and could this be something that, like, where these firms are super leveraged, and we're looking at like a 2008 scenario all over again. So, you know, Goldman Sachs being the big institutional bank that it is, I think they may have some information on what's going on with private equity. We will find out, but I'm interested in listening to these earnings calls. So I want to listen to Goldman Sachs. I want to listen to JP Morgan. They're coming out with earnings this week. I'm also going to listen to Morgan Stanley earnings call. I have Bank of America to listen to that earnings call. I may not, but it's there. And also we have ASML coming out with earnings this week. That's a big tech company that they make the big machines that basically make the chips that Taiwan Semiconductor uses to make the chips. That's ASML. And so I like to hear hear what they have to say. This is the stock. As you see, ASML. This is a nice stock. I like them. I don't trade the stock, but I watch it. I like to hear what they have to say on the earnings call. And also Netflix has earnings this week. This is the first big tech company that has earnings. So the first tech company to release earnings is Netflix, and once Netflix is released, earnings season is really in full swing. But earnings season starts today unofficially with Goldman Sachs releasing earnings and JP Morgan's coming out with earnings. So we're back in earnings season, everyone. And so my to-do list is to listen to Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, ASML, Morgan Stanley, Taiwan Semiconductor's coming out with earnings as well, Schwab, and then Netflix. And I may listen to Bank of America. We'll see. And what I found is that I learn a lot more listening to earnings calls than I actually do listening to financial experts on podcasts. So, if you have like a 90-day period, you have 45 days where there's earnings coming in. So you have each quarter. You have a 90 days in a quarter. 45 days of that is where earnings are being released, and I spend about 45 to 50 days listening to earnings calls. A majority of my time is listening to earnings calls in the background. The other 40 to 45 days is spent majority of my time listening to various podcasts. And basically I create like a watch list. I listen to various podcasts from tech, stocks, all types of different stuff, AI, and I like to listen to lots of experts that talk about different stuff with markets, economy, trading, everything. And I'm open-minded. I want to hear what everybody has to say. And even like I'll listen to people that I totally disagree with, but they sound smart at least. And I want to hear their bearish, counterpoints to stuff, even though I disagree with them. One of the popular guys like on X and YouTube is like Jeb Karsan, and he's a bear. He was a former floor trader, and he's super smart, but he's a bear. And I fundamentally disagree with him on a lot of stuff that he has to talk about, but I still want to hear what he has to say, because he's the smartest bear out there. And he has this whole thesis that we're like in this like cycle of like 20 years, and we're in populism, and inflation's going to go out of control, and the stock market's going to go nowhere. And yeah, a podcast about a month ago with Rick Santelli, and they were talking about options trading and hedging your risk, and how you need to have options. You have to have knowledge in hedging and trading options, especially when there's high volatility with the world blowing up with Trump as president, blah blah blah. And at the end of the podcast, Rick Santelli goes, "You know what? at the end of the day, with everything crazy the way it is, just buy the stock market, individual stocks, and buy the S&P 500. And at the end of the day, America is the top dog. America is the shining city on the hill. And at the end of the day, you'll end up better in the future than you are right now if you just buy stocks and buy the S&P 500. And Jim looks at him like, okay, well, we can agree to disagree. And I'm like, what? And so, it was kind of like, and he was like very condescending about it, And I don't like when people, talk down about stuff like that to someone like Rick Santelli. But anyways, I do like to hear what he has to hear. I do like to hear what he has to say, and he's a smart guy, but he's a bear. So I like to listen to various different. I like to listen to various different people's opinions about the markets on various podcasts. But at the end of the day, what is interesting is that during these earnings periods, during these periods of when companies release their earnings every quarter, hearing what CEOs have to say about their businesses, during these earnings, listening to these earnings calls, you learn a lot about businesses and can get a good idea of what's happening with the economy by listening to CEOs talk about their individual businesses. And
I don't know if it's the stream, but I'm having huge connection issues. I might need the cord to run it because I can't even. I'm talking to people and it's going like I'm talking like a robot. I don't know if it's the stream, but I can't work like that. I'm not gonna make money.
Oh,
Like,
no.
I'm not gonna.
When
make
did
money.
it start?
It's been going on for a minute now, and I've been dealing with it since last week. And I ordered an antenna and it should be here today, but I don't know if it's something fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm not getting good connection.
Gotcha.
I need that cord right now. I'm running it right. I gotta run it right now. I can't work like this.
Okay, it's in the no, it's in the other room. No, the other one.
This one?
Yeah. There's a So it started last week.
Yeah, and I've just been ignoring it because I didn't know if it was my headphones or what, but it's definitely the fucking. How far? Where is the modem at? It's right there.
It's right there.
It's so weird. I'm just not getting I'm not getting full bars on my computer.
Do you think that it is a new computer?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, it could be because it wasn't on the laptop. Maybe the laptop had a better.
That's it. It has to be it. That has to be it.
Yeah, I ordered an antenna, so it should be here today. I ordered it the same day, so it's just coming right now. But right now, at this moment, I just gotta do this one. Okay. Thank you. Like, this isn't the right one. I feel like we had a lot bigger one, didn't we?
Probably. Maybe, I don't know what it is.
Oh, well.
Did you have it?
Put it back in here. I'll just keep working until the antenna gets here then.
How do you know the antenna will fix it?
I don't fucking know, I'm just hoping.
Go back to your laptop. Can you do that? Can you go back to the laptop?
So,
But it was working right.
like now I got full. I don't want to full up. How much shit are you doing for your stream? Like how much that has to fuck with, that has to like drain bandwidth. Like there's no way that shit is not draining. Like I'm only running one program. Like I should not be having a shitty connection. Yeah. It's like
See if the antenna helps. Stop the string. See if it changes, okay? This isn't making it. You guys, you can do this. Pushing the boot. You know, it's not. So we had some
Sorry, I had some issues, some technical issues. So that is it for me today, everyone. Sorry I had to leave. I had some technical issues. I will try to be on live again on Wednesday and then also on Friday. So that is it for me, everyone. Take care and bye-bye.